So I got another one of my triggers the other day, which is it's easy for you. It was said in one sort of particular way, as it pertains to my situation right now, but I've also had it said in another way, pretty much my full life as well, and that also pisses me off. I'm on my way back from yet another jiu-jitsu session in Stirling, and I've told you this before, it's like an hour and a half there, and then about an hour back. I'm obviously knackered, I've been working all day. If I was to describe how easy it's been for me to train today and my motivation levels to do it, the last two words that would come to my mind is it's been easy and my motivation has been high. And that's what pisses me off when people say to me, oh, it's easy for you, you're self-employed, you work for yourself, you can just go and like train whenever you want and I've got my work to go to, and just all nonsense like that, straight up nonsense. Now, the reason that I'm saying it's nonsense, and I'm not coming here to preach that I'm holier than thou and I work so hard and grind set and all this stuff and you don't and you're just a mere peasant that's got a 9-to-5 job. The point I want to try and make is that, see if I had a set routine that I knew exactly where I was going at what times every single day. I clocked in and out at the same time, had my weekends to myself, I could finish at night, switch my brain off, weekends, bank holidays, annual leave, all that type of thing, and I had all that off. I can promise you, I'd be able to do a lot more with my training than I do now. And I don't think people understand how easy it is to fit training in your routine when you've got a job. And yes, a lot of hours off today are already accounted for, but at least they're like set hours. When you work for yourself, and again, I'm not trying to be a preachy wanker, you don't have that routine. And you need to try and create that routine yourself to fit other stuff in. And there is no set time you need to start, set time you need to finish. Sometimes you work 7 hours a day, sometimes you work 10 hours a day, sometimes you need to stay on late, sometimes you need to do stuff at the weekends. Quite often, your brain just gets taken up with a whole load of stuff that you can't quite switch off from. And that's all just part and parcel, and obviously there's pros and cons to working for yourself, but it really pisses me off when people say, oh, it's just so easy for you, you can just like go whenever and training. I kind of do a lot of training, however, that's because I've had to like properly train myself to be so disciplined with my routine that my working hours are always accounted for, and I've basically created that 9-to-5 environment for myself, which then allows me other times to go and train. And I do get some people that work for themselves just piss about and take liberties with the be their own boss type of situation. But I'd like to think that I put in a little bit more than average time and effort into the way that I run my business. And I probably do work more than the standard like 36, 40 hours a week. And especially if you take an average over there, because again, I don't really get like holidays or formal holidays anyway, and weekends off, and often do stuff at the weekends. But anyway, I work, I train. But I think the difference between me and other people is that they kind of feel like they're entitled to have that time at night where they're like, oh, I need to be sitting on the couch watching Netflix and I'm not sat down all day, and if it gets past 7 o'clock then I'm not to be productive, and that's like chill out time and that type of thing. And obviously it goes for the morning as well, and it's like, oh, I get up at 7, half 7, like I can't go to the gym in the morning because I start work at 9. Like, what are we doing here? Like, are you trying to make an effort or are you not? Because if you genuinely wanted to make an effort to train, you would just actually sacrifice that little extra hour in your bed that you could probably make up for the night before, or you don't feel like you need to be sitting down and watching the telly at a certain time or playing the PlayStation or whatever it is. I maybe give myself like 2 hours a week where I'm entitled, quote unquote, to like just sit and switch my brain off and just play a few games of FIFA, and that's literally it. Any other time, it's taken up by work, it's taken up by training, and the opportunity presents itself to be a bit more chill and I get ahead of the game, then cool, that's class. But it's not something that I feel I need to do. So if you feel like your work stops you getting as much training done as you would like, or it makes it harder for you to train for whatever reason, then you need to be making time out with your working hours for it and make it like a non-negotiable type of thing. Now that leads me on to my second point, which is what people used to say to me when I was younger. But I still get people that say it, and they say, oh, it's easy for you because you're naturally motivated. And I'm like, you fucking mental? Like, do you honestly think that every single time I go and train, I want to do it? Or do you feel like it's a discipline thing? And the fact I've trained myself for years to turn up when I can't be bothered. And the fact that I feel guilty when I don't train, and it's almost like a magnet that's like dragging me anytime I feel like, oh, I could just skip tonight. Tonight, for example, prime example, I'm going away on holiday tomorrow, and I could quite comfortably have said, I need to go on get all my stuff ready and I'm feeling a wee bit tired, just working a bit extra and just, I could skip it. I've got that big, long, horrible drive through. Like, do you actually think I wanted to go and do all that to train? And obviously there is an element of me that does, but a lot of me fucking doesn't. And I would much rather have been sitting playing with Crumble and watching some crap on the telly or chilling with Mel or whatever. And it's this whole thing that motivation is like natural. And it's either you've got it or you're not, and it's just crap. It's just absolute bullshit. And it really friggin' annoys me when people say it. What you need to understand is that motivation probably comes from two things. It comes from results and actually seeing improvements, and that is always going to be the prime driver for motivation. And the more you see yourself getting stronger, your body changing, you're just getting better at stuff, the more you will just want to do it. However, most people don't just persevere enough through that little shitty bit when you're maybe not seeing like massive amounts of improvements yet, and then they're just like, oh, what's the point? And what I can guarantee you is that if you stick out that little shitty bit where you start off, you're not seeing massive amounts of improvements yet and your motivation is generally low, and you get to that point where you feel like, oh, I wish I was further along, so what's the point? And you just sack it all off. If you could just push through that little bit so that you start to see the changes and the improvements coming thicker and faster, then your motivation would be a lot higher than it is. And I suppose the other thing that brings motivation, and now that I'm kind of saying this out loud, it doesn't really, and I used the word before there, and it's discipline. And you have to have discipline over motivation, which just sounds like wanky, PT, guff, but it is true. And you need to just have an override. Where again, I couldn't be arsed training today. There's a lot of days I just couldn't be arsed training, and I could give myself plenty of excuses as to why I'm not. But you just need to find that one reason why you can train. This is fucking bobbing in the way off my shot. You just need to find that one reason about why you can train, why you should train, and guilt trip yourself. Play whatever mental game that you need, and see when you start a pattern of turning up and turning up and turning up, no matter if you're bothered or unbothered or really looking forward to it or not looking forward to it or whatever, develops into just like a trait. And the reason that it probably is easy for me to train now from a motivational point of view is because ever since I was like 13, 14, started to take my training seriously, from the judo days to my weight training to now jiu-jitsu. I've just made it that much of a habit that I just go and train no matter what. And it's almost like I don't even need to think about it. It's just like, right, train today, I'm training at this time. It really annoys me when people say like they're not naturally motivated and they can't get motivated, because you need to just fuck off with motivation, because you're just not going to be motivated. And I wish I could make you motivated, and there's certainly ways to get you more motivated, and it might be somebody giving you a kick up the arse, maybe somebody putting an arm around the shoulder, it might be just seeing results, it could be just the fear of slipping backwards. You need to just find your tick, and I can't answer that for you. As much as you should try and find your tick, and I'm contradicting myself a little bit here, just fuck off with the motivation and just develop discipline. Stop thinking that there's some magical fucking infestation that's going to happen in your brain where it's like, oh, I feel motivated now, because it just ain't going to happen, and it probably never will. So anyway, I had to get that off my chest there, as I'm feeling a little bit zonked on this drive back through, and I feel like there was probably a lot of edits I'll need to do there to stop my contradictions and repeating myself over and over and over again, but it's because it pisses me off. So if you feel like your job makes it harder for you to train, you've got a set routine there, use it to your advantage. Something I didn't actually mention, that if you're on the other end of the spectrum and you are somebody who works for themselves, runs a business, and feel like that stops you training and you've never got time, then just get better at your time management and make time, and stop thinking that motivation's some natural thing or magical thing.